Today we're out in Market Theatre in Newtown for a workshop regarding sisters who are working in film and television industry. And briefly they'll be talking about sexual harassment within the industry and how the industry can get involved. I'm Pulemo Fokeng and you're watching Joburg TV.
I think the best place to start, really, Zoe, if you don't mind, just can you give everybody background to the Code of Conduct, how it came about, but most importantly, sort of outline what it is and what we're wanting from it.
Okay. So the Code of Conduct is essentially a document, a legal document that is going to be placed and has already started being placed in all contracts for any production that happens in South Africa. That's what the Code of Conduct is when we refer to that. How it came about is that there is labor laws in the country that protect people against sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is illegal, but what happens is that because of the way the industry, film and television industry works, a lot of freelance work happens where there's no formal employee-employer status. And so people fall in the gaps in terms of them being freelancers or independent contractors and therefore are not covered by these rules.
Yeah, so I think it'll be good to take a step back because the Code of Conduct and the PSA campaign, the That's Not Okay PSA campaign that you'll see, is really came out of the research that we did. So I think it's obvious that the world is in crisis. I think the hashtag #MeToo campaign that came out really last year kind of alerted the media's ears is to a problem that has been ongoing for a long time, even before the Harvey Weinstein saga came out. So it's not new. But I think in South Africa, what's very important to note is that we have one of the highest rates of violence against women in the world. So our problem is it's urgent everywhere, but especially in South Africa, it's incredibly urgent. So even before kind of that explosion came out, the advocacy committee was really trying to work to see what the landscape of sexual harassment and discrimination really looked like in the South African film and television industry. But we didn't want to prescribe what these issues were. So we had a lot of workshops and meetings where women would kind of go around the room and express testimony of what they themselves had experienced. And it was quite staggering, even in those meetings, what was coming up.
Well, I think that with the NFVF, to take it back, is an agency of the Department of Arts and Culture. We're also a creature of statute, so we have an act and we have to adhere to that act. And that act already has proposals of how that funding is supposed to be directed. So principally, there is no issue with the Code of Conduct, which is why we've been willingly working with SWIFT since the launch at DIF. However, we cannot restrict funding retrospectively. Yeah. It has to be formally in our funding policy before then we can change conditions to funding. So right now, we review most of our policies annually, and right now we're reviewing this funding policy, and we are taking the principles of SWIFT in accordance with our MOU into that funding policy. Thereafter, we can then share with the rest of the people to tell them, because like we said, it's a criteria. So you need to tell people ahead of them getting funding that if you want funding from us, this is what you're going to have to do. If you want funding from us, you're going to have a workplace that adheres to SWIFT policies.
Okay, right next to me is Zoe Ramushi. Can you please tell us about your work? What do you do?
Thank you so much. I'm a legal consultant as well as a filmmaker. I'm a producer, director, and actress, so I do quite a bit.
So what is Code of Conduct?
So I'm on the board of what is known as SWIFT, Sisters Working in Film and Television, and the Code of Conduct is a legal document that we've drafted in order to protect women who are working in the film and television industry.
Okay, what I also want to find out from you is that, so now let me just say I'm a SWIFT member now, yes. And I've been sexually harassed.
I hope you are a SWIFT member. Yeah.
I'm going to be. So, and I report. So am I going to be known as Puleng who reported or anonymous?
So that's one of the major issues that we're working on, because the issue with sexual harassment is a lot of the time it happens between two people in a quiet room and nobody else knows about it, and that's a lot of the time what keeps people quiet. What the beauty of what Swift is working on is that if someone wants to come forward, they can come forward anonymously and lodge a complaint. Depending on what the actions you playing would want to take forward depends on the level of anonymity. Because, for example, if you want to lodge a complaint against someone, you do have to say who it is, because they have every right to then, say whether or not this happened. It can't be an anonymous complaint, So depending on what action you would like taken, that is what deals with the levels of anonymity, you know what I mean? But there is an understanding that, the film and television industry, specifically in South Africa, is quite small, quite tight-knit, and so it is an issue for women where if you speak up, you know that, you're going to lose your job, you probably are going to be labeled as a problem maker, and we also want to protect women, so we're creating structures that will protect women from that sort of backlash.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Peleng. It's been lovely chatting to you.
We heard what Swift is about. Good people, sexual harassment is a reality. Break the silence, say something, please tell somebody, talk about it. From me, Pulemo Fugeng and the Joburg TV team, have a good one.